for now. Thanks for having me back on. Really appreciate it.
So, listen, man, I'm selling Caleb Plant as this long upset underdog. I know you probably don't believe in me, but before you give any of your expert advice, can you at least give us how Caleb Plant can get it done?
I could see it being like a Franco Maloney 2 sort of thing where like an early jab closes one of Canelo's eyes and then he's in like a really precarious position. But decision, I have a hard time seeing it. Like, to be clear, like I think the public is kind of overlooking Caleb Plant a little bit, but I don't think in this era someone's going to beat Canelo strictly off their back foot, which is Caleb's game. Like, he's not going to be aggressive, and in Canelo's face, it's not how he's boxed. And do you really see judges rewarding someone to like knock off the top, cash cow in boxing? Like, I have a hard time seeing it. So to me, like if he does it, I think it's like he sticks to his jab, he commits to it, and then it's like a Dubois versus Joyce thing where like enough jabs closes one of Canelo's eyes or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a bit of a tough sell, just personally.
So you don't think any of his attributes are gonna give Canelo problems, or you just think whatever he does well, Canelo will adjust to?
Different fighter, different circumstances, then Caleb would have a much better chance. But this is Canelo we're talking about. And like, do you really see judges? Like, if Caleb Plant was fighting a guy with the same skill set, but his name was Mike Smith and he was from somewhere in America, then sure, I wouldn't be so concerned with judges. But a Canelo fight in Vegas, he's going to have to win 9-3 to like get a draw. So I don't know. I just think this is a uniquely tough situation for him. And yeah, if I were him, I would just stay committed to that jab and try to force some sort of stoppage due to an eye shutting or a cut or something like that. That's how I see it.
And so what's your weekend advice? What is your short pick? Because I feel like on my bookie.ag, using the code BETTBV, obviously, will this fight go to distance at plus 170 is good. I know maybe you're going to disagree, but this man did not knock out Jacobs, who started at 54 and got knocked out. Didn't knock out Trout. Didn't knock out Floyd, Laura. I mean, old man Kovalev went 11 rounds. Callum with one arm lasted 12. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't think it's a shoo-in that he knocks out Plant. But look, I was also saying he wasn't going to knock out Billy Joe because he was a southpaw and he hasn't fought a southpaw since Laura.
No, I actually completely agree with you there. I think one way in which you can play this fight and make some money are like those distance and over props. I mentioned a little bit earlier, like one way I think the public is kind of overlooking Plant is his durability. And I think he's got a bit more dog in him than Saunders. And even if he encounters some early adversity, like I think he's in good enough shape where a body shot is not just going to fold him. So yeah, Ness, I actually agree with you like quite a bit there. I think distance is probably a good way to play it. I think also for some more plus money, if you can get like Canelo by decision, even one of those.
I got him at a plus 200. I locked that shit in. That's what I keep telling him. I bet more on Canelo by decision, but I put $10 on Plant because I got it at a plus 3,000.
Yeah, that's wild. That's a crazy line. But yeah, no, we agree there. Like plus 200 for decision, I think that's real good. Some of these books offer weird specific decision props, like not just decision, but like Canelo by unanimous decision or split or whatever. And I think if you can get Canelo by unanimous decision at like plus 350, that's also a pretty good look. Because if this reaches the finish line, I doubt personally that Plant's going to make it interesting enough for it to be more than like him winning a few rounds. So I like overs, I like distance, I like Canelo points. I think we're probably on the same page there.
Now, you just said you like overs, but that has changed. When this opened, the over was plus money. That is now minus money, and so is the under, which is what everyone believes because they swear Canelo's getting a knockout.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at my bookie now. So over 9.5 at minus 115. Yeah, that's decent. I mean, it's probably always just a good practice to like shop around and get the best line you can. But I see this hitting over 9.5 at a pretty decent clip. It could even cruise past it. Like, I don't know if Caleb shows himself to be defensively sound enough. then this could be a point where he's not really in any precarious positions of getting knocked out until like the championship rounds, basically. So over 9.5, I'm pretty fond of. Also, just distance. Like if it hits over 9.5, it's more than likely going to hit the scorecards as well. So yeah, I like each of those.
Any prop bets? Excuse me, I'm a smoker. Any prop bets you recommended?
Yeah, for this fight or just like the weekend in particular?
Yeah, for this weekend. It doesn't have to be this fight. For this weekend.
Yeah. So I'll run through the action that I've got. All right. So yeah, this boxer tournament in the UK, it's kind of like a unique format. It's like 3-round fights. I like this fighter Levi Kinciona over Lee Appleyard. It opened at even money, and then Kinciona got steamed a little bit, but you can still find Kinciona via decision at plus money, which I think is really good. So I played that because decision is like, I don't know, that should be the same number as his money line. It's a 3-round fight. He's not going to knock out Appleyard in 3 rounds. He's not a puncher. So I like that one quite a bit. Also, the Denzel Bentley in the UK. I like the under for his fight. He's taking on a guy who's coming off like a 4-year layoff. And it's coming up a weight class. I know we saw Bentley get stopped by Cash last time out, but I buy into him being a pretty good puncher and overall fighter. So I see him getting the job done there. If you're using my bookie, one that I think is like a really solid bet this weekend, Juan Pablo Romero. I'm betting him fairly heavy over Elvis Rodriguez.
Wow.
Plus 140 is not the best number out there I'm seeing on my bookie, but I think any sort of any plus money is fine for that fight. I think Elvis Rodriguez, like that Sims fight, was not a one-off. Even the one before that, he was having real issues with Veron, and I think it's just because he can't handle inside fighting of any kind. And if you tape Juan Pablo Romero, that's his game. He's just like a pressure machine. I think from rounds 1 through 10, he's going to be in his grill and not give Rodriguez that space to like land that detonating punch that resulted in his early career knockouts. And I see Elvis taking another loss here. Juan Pablo is a good fighter, man. So if you can get him at plus money, I think he could close as an even money at an even money line, or even possibly the favorite here.
What do you think about the Darrell Hernandez fight? Like Darrell had a bad fight with Kyron Davis, who was a 54-pounder moving up. People thought he won that fight, and Darrell didn't. Now he's in with Marco Hernandez, who's not the best. I'm not trying to sell him as a great fighter, but he is a bit of a dog and could give Darrell some issues. What do you think about that fight?
Man, there are people who thought Davis should have beat Darrell. Like I had it the opposite. I thought he beat Kyron Davis pretty comfortably in that fight. Just my opinion. I thought Davis got off to a super slow start, never really adjusted, and Darrell, to me at least, he should have won on scorecards pretty comfortably. Which leads to my take here. I think it's Darrell all day. Like I think he should have Marcos covered. Minus 315, like I'm seeing, is not the best line to play straight up. You never want to put down like $300 to make almost 100 back. But if you can pair him with something else, like pair him with something else for the weekend, whether
so you still like Darrell is what you're saying? I
do. I know you're always like, it's always an adventure betting on a Darrell fighter because like weird outcomes tend to happen, DQs and like, weird scorecards. But I honestly think he's got Marcos covered. I kind of agree with your point, Ness, about like Marcos not really being all that. I know he's coming off this these last 2 fights in which he's kind of fought up beyond expectations, most recently against Resendez, but Resendez is not on Darrell's level. Like that was kind of a fraudulent prospect. And I bet on Marcos in that fight. I was really happy to cash him as an underdog, but I don't see lightning striking twice here. Like to me, this is kind of a levels fight. Darrell should easily outpoint him. I think even a knockout in later rounds is not out of the question because Marcos like isn't the most durable fighter. So I see Darrell having very, very few issues with him here.
And Ray Vargas, could he get the stoppage? They giving me plus money on the under, man, on Vargas. But he's been out the ring for a minute, right?
Yeah, that's kind of a trap spot. Like Leonardo Baez is really chinny, and I think he's kind of past
2 years.
Like,
he's almost out the ring 2 years.
Yeah. We saw Baez get stopped pretty easy by Caraballo on Ring City last time, but I see these fights as kind of a trap spot because Vargas is coming off that long layoff, and who knows if he just wants to bank the rounds. Like, if he just decides it's time to shake off the ring rust, I'm going to go the full distance. It wouldn't be the dumbest move in the world, and I could see Baez kind of indulging that. So I don't know, man. Like, he could get stopped early, or he can go the distance. That one, to me, just betting wise, doesn't really do it for me. I think there's better spots.
I get it. Anything else out there?
Yeah, I think Mare beats Hamadouche pretty easy. Like, it's a tempting line because Maiva's like plus 295, but Mare on points. I think the size discrepancy is going to be too much. Also, Michaela's just been so much more active recently. I've seen a lot on Twitter of like underdog chatter about Maiva Hamadouche, but I don't think that's the spot here to invest in. Also, one more, if you're just using my bookie, I don't think Mark Bernaldez at plus 1,000 is like the worst underdog in the world. Cortez is pretty chinny. He's been dropped since he signed with Top Rank. Bernaldez, the one thing he can do is crack. I'm not saying go crazy on it, but if you've got like $20 to burn or whatever, I don't think that's the worst plus 1,000 in the world. Like, he'll give you pretty good return for your dollar there. That's going to be a pretty grueling fight in which both guys are like swinging heavy leather. So just looking at the board, that's one that kind of caught my eye. I like that one and also the under in that fight.
Well, I don't see that. What's the name?
Yeah, so if you go on my bookie in the boxing section, it's for a fight tonight on Top Rank. It's Andre Cortez versus Mark Bernaldez.
Ah, got it. Oh, it's only money line. Fucking hell.
But yeah, as like a lottery ticket, if you're not really overly invested in that one, I think that's pretty good because Cortez, like.
But you're saying as a straight bet.
Yeah. Yeah. And also not as your like big bet of the weekend, like don't go crazy. But Cortez is a really reckless style. He's been dropped before, and Bernaldez can punch. So I think that's not a bad spot as like an underdog play.
And just because I have you and you know, some of us like doing those longer parlays, what about Fulton Figueroa, Andre Quigley?
Yeah, Fulton and Andrade all day, for sure. I mean, like Andrade is gonna look like minus 3,000 that fight. Jason Quigley is terrible, honestly.
Yeah, Andrade's a minus 1,800 already on fucking my bookie.
Yeah, so you got to ask if that even really adds that much to your parlay.
It doesn't add anything.
Yeah, right. I mean, he's gonna win that fight running away. So. But Fulton is still parlay territory. Like, what's he at right now on minus 360? That's a real good line. Yeah. I mean, the only thing is, like, you're going to be waiting on that money for a bit. It's the end of the month, so some like recreational bettors don't want to wait on money that long. But I've got no problem with just like tying a bunch of parlays to Fulton because I think he looks like minus 500, minus 600 in hindsight. Figueroa might start out pretty well, so you could also live bet Fulton if he drops like the first round or two. But I think that's a really good spot for him. I'm a big believer in Fulton. That's like one of the sport's top talents. So
I'm gonna do this $2 parlay, man. I'm a $2 parlay type of guy. I'm gonna go with this Juan Pablo recommendation. Double it down with the Darrell recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Slide in the lottery ticket of Bernaldez.
Ooh.
Yo, that sound like don't do it right there.
No, it's just like you're gonna make like a few hundred back off $2 if you're.
Yeah, well, no, only 86 because I threw Fulton in there too for the win on a long parlay. In case Bernaldez really do it, then I get to wait biting my nails for Fulton to do it.
If you're building a parlay, you can also throw Signani in there over Diaz.
Who?
Matteo Signani. It's the main event of today's Dazn card in Italy. Yeah, he's the Italian fighter in Italy. They've got some like corrupt ass judges there. I don't think Ruben Diaz is very good. So like as soon as I hits the scorecards, they're already gonna have him for Signani kind of locked up. So That's on my book.
God damn, Sinyagi, he almost added 2,000 points to the parlay.
Yeah, minus 240, I think is pretty reasonable. Like, I don't see Diaz winning at all. Diaz said this is his retirement fight, and he's 42, and like, I don't know. He hasn't fought in a few years. So Signani is pretty safe to me as like a parlay addition.
Yeah, man. I'm going to lock that one in. But if you don't have any other recommendations, man, and help me with the pronunciation so I get it right. It's Trotman Boxing, right? Trotman Boxing, right?
Yep,
Right.
you got it.
And they can find you on Twitter, correct?
Yup. If I can plug it real quick, because I got a podcast coming out later today, just giving some more boxing advice. But it's Trotman Boxing on Twitter. And just follow me on there. I do a podcast sometimes, and I give like betting advice. So if you ever want to DM me asking about a fight, I'm always happy to respond.
All right. Well, Champ, man, we appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. And we look to have you back on again and obviously more regularly.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me back on. Really appreciate it.
All right.
For the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.